Hi everyone, welcome back to the US CPA classes for business analysis and reporting examination. In this particular video of business analysis, I'll be walking you through in detail about prospective analysis. Specifically, we'll be covering the topic forecasting and projections. So let's dive into to understand more in detail about forecasting and projections.
Hi everyone, welcome to BAR class. So today we'll be starting topic 2.2, which is prospective analysis including use of data. So here in this topic we have 5 subtopics which we'll be discussing in detail one by one. First one is budgeting, forecasting and projection. So same way like we were discussing yesterday, and I've shown you like one example as well for budgeting and forecasting and projection. So here like in terms of budgeting, there are like various type of budget like an organization make, right? So like it go by department also, it go annual budget also, it go, you can say, specific category budget also. It depends on the need and requirement of the management. So for example, like if I say department by department, you may have separate budget for sales, you may have separate budget for purchases, you may have separate budget for property, plant and equipment, you may have separate budget for payroll, so on and so forth, right? So one, there may be a master budget, and then that budget may have like respective department wise budget which you are allocating to the respective department, right? So that is called budgeting. Forecasting is basically your forecasting what will be your future sales, what will be your future revenue, what will be your future cost of goods sold, what will be your future expenses, and what can be like the prospective or future cash flows you may be generating out of the business. And then maybe like projections, I would say, include both like complete financial statement as well as non-financial measures also, right? So we'll be discussing that also in detail, what all comes under the budgeting, forecasting, projections, right? Second topic we'll be covering is the capital structure. So if you remember from your college days, you might have heard this capital structuring, which include your equity, your preference, your debentures, your loans, your borrowings, right? So what all source you get the money, which is like other than sales. Basically it may be like your shareholder fund, or it may be your loans or borrowings, right? And how your overall capital is being structured, is the financial leverage is being proper or not, are you meeting the debt to equity ratio or the other required ratio by the financials, by the, you can say, financial institution which has been lended the money to the organization. And then like there is like another topic which is cost of capital, right? How you are optimizing the cost of capital which the shareholder has invested, how you are making more and more wealth for the investors who has been invested in your organization, right? Then third topic we'll be discussing is about investment alternative using financial decision model. So I'm sure you might have heard of discounted cash flow model, present value model, black swan model, right? Those all things we'll be studying over here. And then fourth topic is risk management. So as we do business, in the business there are a lot of uncertainties are being involved. How management is mitigating with those uncertainty, what controls that management has put in place to meet with those uncertainties will come under the risk management. And for all the listed company, it is being mandatory to have a risk management policy as well as risk management department who will understand the overall process, identify the business risk, ensure like what are the controls that management should be putting in place for those identified risks to mitigate those risks. Then last one, we'll be studying the economic and market influence on the business. So in the economic, we'll be understanding demand, supply, equilibrium, different category of market, competition. Those all things we'll be understanding. And we'll be understanding what are the market influences change in interest rate, change in inflation, change in deflation, other market condition change, how it will impact the overall economy, right? So these all things we'll be covering, and it may take probably like 2 more weeks to finish off this topic, right? So today we're jumping onto the very first topic, which is budgeting, forecasting, and projection, right? So within the budgeting forecasting, so there are total 5 topics which we'll be studying under 2.2, which is prospective analysis, including data, use of data, and in the very first topic, which is budgeting, forecasting, and projection, there are 8 subtopics which we'll be studying, and this will be starting today. The first one is budgeting and analysis. Second one is SWOT analysis. Have you heard about this SWOT analysis? Any idea? Any of you have done SWOT analysis practically, maybe, or might
Yes,
have studied in your MBA? So yeah, what is SWOT analysis?
sir, I haven't done practically, but I have studied it. So SWOT stands for strength,
Hmm.
weakness, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah.
So basically, the company analyzes
Hmm.
what are its strengths in terms
Hmm.
of, can be in terms of its products, its customer service, or anything, and weakness as in where the company is lagging. It can be again customer service. Company can be lagging in that, so that's why customers are not preferring that company. Then opportunities, areas where it can improve,
Hmm.
and then threats are like external threats, like changes in regulations,
Hmm.
and uh, other things like market
Hmm.
threat or
Hmm.
technology threat. So these all come under SWOT analysis.
Yeah, very true. We'll be discussing in detail, but more or less you covered everything. Yeah. And third we'll be discussing is balance scorecard. Have you guys heard this term? Balance scorecard by any chance? Surya, Pranshi, Yakarsh. Have you
So
heard this term?
I have heard, but I can't recall. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Manish, Pranshi, Surya. Any idea what is balance scorecard? Arun? So balance scorecard is basically a performance measure technique through which like the various parameter has been formed. So I think many of you are working with EY. So you have SF, your lead. How is your internal appraisal do happen? So what technique your organization do follow?
Yes, sir, lead.
Lead, right? So you see that colorful parrot, right? So that is success factor basically, right? So that's also like coming under the balance scorecard technique, right? Anyway, Manish, Akash, in your company, like how you guys do like appraisals and all those things.
So basically, they are our performance is measured against the set objective.
Hmm.
How many objective we have achieved, and what percentage of our goal that we have achieved, and
Hmm.
based on that, performance is measured.
Yeah. So all these techniques are coming from the balance scorecard basically for the respective category, maybe for sales team. So there are certain sales target, like according to the sales target, their performance are being measured, right? Same way, like for different teams, the different measurement criteria are being identified, and accordingly their performance are being measured. And most of those techniques are using balance scorecard technique. Then after the 5 force analysis, this is total theory of 5 force analysis for the organization. That also we'll be discussing in detail. And then next one is financial modeling and generally used financial model. So here we'll be understanding like discounted cash flow method and other financial modeling method like Black-Scholes model, right? Then after forecasting and projection, like in the last class, I've shown you one example of forecasting and projection for the next 5 years, right? So same way, like what all techniques you will be using when you do the forecasting and projections, what all assumption you'll be taking for the forecasting and projection, and are those assumption are valid assumption or not, right? Then after regression analysis is basically when you can say change in one aspect or one parameter or one variable has the impact on another variable. So that will be understanding, like if you are changing fuel price, right, it may impact the sales value of the car as well, right? On the other hand, if you are like, for example, now this electric vehicle, like they are being like future of the vehicle industry or automobile industry, that which everyone knows. So currently there is like scarcity of, like there's no sufficient places where like people can charge their electric vehicle. People wants to purchase it, but as of now they do not have sufficient charging station, sufficient infrastructure, hence the sales is low, even though despite of the fact people wants to buy. On the other hand, if you see, when the on the other hand, like companies are also charging premium at this point of time. So how these are being interrelated with each other things. So those things will be comes under the regression analysis, and we'll be studying under the regression analysis. And last one is the break-even analysis. Break-even analysis is generally, generally like the company use to understand at what point of sale they will be reaching at the break-even, right? When their cost is equal to revenue, when they will be cash neutral. So it's very important for any organization to understand their break-even point, and there are like certain analysis like contribution margin analysis, break-even analysis, which comes under the BE fund. So that also we'll be discussing, and there are few formulas and some illustration that we'll be practicing as well, right? So now jumping on to the very first, budgeting and analysis, right? What is budgeting and analysis? Yes, please. What is budgeting, and why company need to do budgets? Come on, please be responsive. Otherwise, it's just a one-way communication.
Budgeting is, sir, basically the company prepares a budget of, it can be budget in terms of cost that the company can expend and on various things like capex budget, operational expenditure budget, salary budget, bonus budget, and all those things. And then they analyze it. And analysis is basically what they have budgeted and what their actual spend is, and where they can improve, any improvement areas or anything. That's budgeting and analysis.
Yeah, Arun, Manish, Franshi, Surya, would you guys like to add something?
Sir, I feel budgeting is something that helps us ascertain that our income, like our expenses, are not more than income, and how we have to spend it.
Okay. Yeah. Surya, Manish, Arun, anything you guys would like to add? Just keep your mobile on, and you keep on working off your own stuff. Arun, Surya, Manish, you guys are here in class?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So why you don't respond? What is budgeting? Why do we do budgeting? It's a basic question. Budgeting
Sir,
is
to estimate how much margin we want.
Mhm. Yeah, budgeting is basically a tool basis which you like based on your understanding of industry, based on your understanding of your organization, based on your understanding of strength, weaknesses, you make certain plans which you wanted to achieve for achievement of your respective goals, right? So budgeting is give you like direction, like in which direction your activities need to be planned for the overall organization. It helps actually in coordination and implementation of the overall, you can say, uh, uh, environment in the organization, as well as you can say for the achievement of the goals which organization wish to achieve. It is like kind of directional activities, or you can say directional you can say plan which helps the organization to execute those respective items so that they will achieve the goal which they have set for themselves. So budgeting is being very important tool for any organization, because without budgeting, or you can say forecasting where they wants to be after a year, after 2 year, after 5 year, how will someone be reached to those heights to achieve those goals? So if any company do have certain goals which they want to achieve, they have to make a plan to get there, and that plan is comes under the budgeting part only, right? And in the budgeting, there are like various type of budgeting which we'll be discussing in detail. And again, like the department-wise budget also will be there, that helps as a guiding light to the respective department, right? The purpose of the budget is to help plan, coordinate, implement, and control enterprise activity, and it helps in achieving the efficiency. However, it should not be viewed as cost reduction tool. So that's kind of disadvantage, or you can say sometime the employee may feel like company is doing budgeting for the cost reduction. So cost reduction is not the objective of budgeting. Rather, giving the direction to the organization and bringing more efficiency in the overall operation is the key goal of the budget, right? What are the problem associated with the budgeting? When you make a budgeting, what can be the problems? So first one is the inaccurate estimation. So when you do the budgeting, it's based on estimation only. So there may be possibility of human error, or judgment error, or human judgment error, right? So that may result into inaccurate estimation. Second thing would be adverse reaction from employee. So if you make a budgeting that may have significant cost reduction impact, or that may have impact on the salary or compensation of the employee, so the employee may not like it, right? So these kind of problems could be possible when you do the budgeting. So generally, if you see the budgeting, forecasting, budget versus actual analysis is generally like top management they do. They do not involve all the employees. They do not involve, like uh, you can say all team member when they do budgeting, forecasting, and analysis. And it's been like kind of generally I've seen like in many company it's a separate department called FP&A, right? So in that department generally there are very few people who are being highly confidential and trustworthy people of the management who take care of this budgeting, analysis, and forecasting part of it, right? And the budget can be classified into long-term budget, mid-term budget, short-term budget. So long-term budget could be of 5 to 6 years, right? Mid-term budget could be 2 to 4 years, or short-term budget are generally annual budgets, right? So these are the three categories of budget which you will be experiencing when you are getting into the practical life. Now coming to the type of budget. So earlier, like we were discussing, there are various type of budget. So what are those types of budget? Let's try and understand. First one is the master budget, right? So the master budget is a comprehensive financial plan that summarize and aggregate all the individual budget within an organization, providing the overall framework for managing and controlling its financial activity, and it typically include budget for income, expense, and capital expenditure. Right? Same way, like how you have seen an example yesterday, we have seen the month on month, year over year budget for the revenue, month on month, year over year budget for the payroll expenses, month on month, year over year budget for the OPEX, month on month, year over year budget for the CAPEX and the cash flow statement. Right? That you have seen yesterday. Yes, no.
Sir. Yes, sir.
That kind of Excel sheet or that kind of statements are being called master budget, which is comprehensive financial plan that summarize and aggregate all the individual budget within the organization. Make sense? What is master budget? Which cover
All the budgets of the
all the
organization.
budgets of the organization, right? And there would be some operational budget, there would be some financial budget, there would be some special budget, there would be some flexible budget. So operational budget, what are those operational budget? Generally at the department level, like sales budget, production budget, purchase budget, expense budget, payroll budget, capex budget, right? All those things comes under the operational budget, right? What all things comes under the operational budget? What all thing comes under the operational budget?
Sales forecast, production, get like material, how much the company can purchase, and cost of sales budget, cost of goods sold budget, marketing expenses budget, all these comes under operating budgets.
Right. So all the activities which you need for the overall operation of the organization, the respective budget when you make for the respective department or respective operation is comes under the operational budget, right? Second is financial budget. Financial budget is budgeting for balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement. Those all things comes under the financial budget, right? That include cash forecast, which include receipt and disbursement of cash, budgeted balance sheet, budgeted cash flow statement, budgeted income statement. Third is special budget. Special budget is performance budget, or it may include a capital budget, or it may be for specific item also. For example, like next year company wants to do some research and development work. For that they may be creating a special budget which they may not be generally using it, right? Last one is the flexible budget. Have you heard this term before? Flexible budget. Have you guys heard this term? Flexible budget?
No, sir.
So flexible budget is basically a dynamic budget. So you all have heard like budget versus actual analysis. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So company at the beginning of the year or even before the start of the year, they do budgeting for next 12 months, right? Which is month on month budget. And then company do the analysis of those monthly budget to the actual income and expenditure, right? So then they understand and identify it in the future month forecast. What they have, is it realistic or not realistic, right? If it is realistic, they will continue. If they feel it is not realistic, then they change and then they update as well, right? That flexibility to change and adopt the new market condition or adopt the change in the dynamic of the organization or adopt the change in economic environment and condition. So that kind of budget is called flexi budget, right? It is a dynamic budget in which management make update recurringly based on the change in activity, market condition or situation, and it is closer to the real budget. Make sense? What is flexible budget? Any doubt here?
No, sir.
So master budget is overall budget. Operational budget is normally at department level. Financial budget is at overall financial statement level. Special budget is for specific purpose, and flexible budget is the dynamic budget, which will keep on changing based on the change in market condition and scenario. Right?
Right, sir.
What are the benefits of budgeting? Why do company do budgeting? Why will company need to do budget?
Sir, basically budgeting helps the company in planning. It can be financial planning or like the capital structure planning as well, right? If it's a manufacturing company, then they can plan which department they need to allocate more resources, and wherein the employees are less productive, so how to increase their productivity and um better profitable to increase profitability, obviously, and like also they can continuously improve in their processes to lower the cost. So all of these things are some way in another related to budgeting. Like approach can also be related. Company can adopt Six Sigma approach to improve processes and increase profitability, reduce cost. All these comes under these are benefits of budgeting, basically.
Yeah, Arun, Surya, Franchi, would you like to add anything? Manish? Okay, yeah. So more or less, you covered most of the things. Like benefit of budgeting. These all are like illustrative benefits. So there can be an exhaustive list, and there can be many more benefits of budgeting. So first one is better financial planning, right? When they do financial budgeting, when you do operational budget, better planning for the overall operation and at the respective department level, right? And here, when you do the complete budgeting, you understand all the piece of the puzzles, right? Then it is being very easy for you or the management to coordinate from one department to another department for the respective task, right? And that can help in bringing overall efficiency and the economic in the work, right? Third is better alignment of operation with strategic goals of the organization. So what goal the company wish to achieve, and when you do the budgeting, you break it down to the activity. So what all activities need to be done to achieve the overall organization goal, and overall monitoring of those activity will become easier if you have a specific budgets, right? Fourth is appropriate resource allocation. So like how many resources you have, whether it's being in terms of technology resources, whether in terms of infrastructure resources, whether in terms of financial resources, or whether in terms of human capital, and how best and effectively you can utilize by appropriately allocating the resources for the respective task and respective work, right? Fifth is performance evaluation, including benchmarking and variance analysis. Have you heard this term before? Benchmarking. Have you heard this term? Benchmarking. If you have not heard, then why you don't ask? I'm, to be very honest, like your response is extremely low. I don't know why. I have not seen this kind of low response even in school kids. They also do respond, like if you do not understand, you ask the respective question, and if you understand, then respond whether you understand or not. Like I'm feeling, I sometimes I feel like like I'm just talking to myself. So do you know like what is benchmarking?
Uh, yes, sir. So basically, benchmarking is when like benchmarking can happen using industry set benchmarks, or like what's happening in the industry. Like let's suppose we are benchmarking for Maruti Suzuki, then Maruti would check what's the cost of production for a particular segment of cars in other companies as well. They would check for Honda, Hyundai, Fiat and all that, and then they would measure their performance against those set standards. They would take out an average of across all the companies or across all its industry, and then they would measure their own performance against those benchmarks. So that basically benchmark and benchmark analysis.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So yeah, benchmarking is basically understanding the economic, understanding the industry, understanding the competition, and identifying, like in which direction the market is moving and in which direction other competitors are being working. That will help you, giving you the direction whether you want to follow the trend or you want to create something of your own, right? Or whether you are fit into the industry norms or you are extremely out of the industry norms. That will help, right? Variance analysis, that we all know. Risk management is, again, like we have discussed earlier, is very same thing. When you do proper budgeting, it helps you in better managing your risk as well. Seventh is identification and implementation of cost control measures. So when you do the budgeting, at that point of time, you do a complete detailed brainstorming session. And in the brainstorming session, you identify the areas where the improvement is being required, and then you come up with the solution how you can make the improvement in those respective process, maybe by adding certain more professional resources, by changing machineries, by changing attitude, by changing the behavior of the employees, right? That helps in overall measurement of the controls, and that helps in reducing the cost. But this is not the main objective of budget. This is one of the benefit of doing proper budgeting. Eighth one is support management in taking decision. So when you do appropriate budgeting, it helps a lot to the management in taking proper decision. What kind of machineries they need to buy, what kind of manpower they need to hire, what kind of like sales and marketing activity they need to do. All these things will comes from the budgeting. If you do proper budgeting, it helps a lot to the management in taking their respective decision to run the organization, right? Ninth is assigning accountability. It helps in assigning the accountability to the respective team member, from junior team member to the most experienced or most senior team member, right? Then better cash flow management, take a preventive measures. What do you mean by preventive measures? Arun, Surya, any idea? Pranshi, what is preventive measure?
So basically, before, like we forecast that something is going to happen, and we take measures to like prevent that thing from happening beforehand.
Yeah. So preventive measure is before happening of any wrong act, you take the measure so that that wrongful act will not happen, right? So if you do proper budgeting, it helps you a lot of taking a lot of preventive measure so that the things should not go wrong. And continuous improvement, as we discuss about flexible budget, right? So you keep on check between budget versus actual movement, and you keep on improving the things on a real-time basis. Flexible budget are adaptive to change condition but align with the seasonality of the business or change in economic condition, right? So any doubt or anything you need more clarification, what are the types of budget and what are the benefits of budgeting?
No, sir, I'm clear.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. So let's do some practice question. Where will the amount report for fixed overhead on flexible budget be reported? As actual fixed cost on fixed overhead variance analysis, as budgeted fixed cost on static budget, as budgeted fixed overhead on static budget, as applied fixed overhead on fixed overhead variance analysis. I think there is some mistake. It looks duplicate. Right. Maybe like out of 3, like which one you feel is the right answer. What is the call of the question? Where will the amount reported for fixed overhead on flexible budget? Where do you report fixed overhead on flexible budget?
Sir, fourth, I think, as applied fixed overhead cost on fixed overhead variance analysis.
Yeah, Ranshi, Surya, Manish. Yeah, Arun. Any thought like?
Sir, maybe the fourth one only.
Yeah, the applied fixed overhead cost on fixed overhead variance analysis. Right. Okay, let's do second question. When production level are expected to rise within a relevant range and a flexible budget is employed, what impact on each of the following would be anticipated? So when production level are expected to rise, that means you are expecting the production will increase but within the relevant range, right? Flexible budget is employed, and what is the impact on each of the following costs would be anticipated? First one is decrease in both fixed cost per unit and variable cost per unit. No change in either fixed cost or variable cost. No change in fixed cost per unit and decrease in variable cost. Decrease in fixed cost but no change in variable cost. So when your production is increasing, is your fixed cost increasing?
Within a relevant range, then no.
Right? So there's no change in fixed cost. So fixed cost will not increase, but per unit fixed cost, will it be increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing.
Decreasing. So which one is the right option?
Decrease in fixed cost per unit and no change in variable. Fourth one.
Right? Because variable costs does not have any impact of change in production level.
Variable
Right?
cost is fixed per unit costs.
Right? Variable cost is per unit cost. So increase or decrease in number of unit will not have any impact on variable cost. Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Last question. Among the given choice, which option listing correctly describe the order in which the 4 type of budget must be prepared? So you need to give the sequence in which the budget need to be prepared. First is cash disbursement. Second is material purchases. Third is production. Fourth is sales. Another option is sales, purchases, production, disbursement. Third is production, purchases, sales, disbursement. Fourth is sales, production, purchases, and disbursement.
Option 4.
Huh?
Option 4, like first sales must be analyzed, right?
First, you need to make a sales budget. Based on the sales budget, you'll be making production budget. Based on the production budget, you'll be identify the need of purchases. Based on the need of purchases, you'll be making disbursement budget, right?
Correct.
So which option is correct?
Fourth one.
Fourth, right? Everyone agree?
Yes.
Okay, so next is SWOT analysis. Like we were discussing earlier also, SWOT analysis